Hello once again, Star Wars and Unboxing fans. Welcome to another very special episode of Darth Tuba's Star Wars Unboxing Show. I'm your host, Darth Tuba. So what am I here to talk about today? Well, I'm here to talk about artists. Okay, specifically artists specializing in genre fan art. Okay, now for those who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm referring to any kind of artist that is a commercial or professional artist that will take commissions and draw, paint, sculpt, do all sorts of artistic projects for other people related to a specific genre of, could be a film, could be a TV show, could be books, could be anything. And most notably, the ones that are the most known are the types of artists that you would often find at places like Comic-Con, different Comic-Cons, whether they're huge, like San Diego Comic-Con, Big Apple Comic-Con, or even smaller, one-room shows that you can get in, locally. And these artists can be anything from comic book artists to illustrators that do illustrate books to just artists that are just trying to break into the, fan art, commission, freelance art world. And I've learned a lot about the artists that do all these things. Many of them are people that are self-taught. Some get training in like kind of an associate's degree setting, and some will go full out and get illustration degrees at very prestigious colleges. And they may go off into the world and do a lot of freelance work, or maybe they'll get work as illustrators or / graphic designers in different advertising and publishing firms. And you might find them a lot of times at comic conventions, and what they often will call it Artist Alley. If anybody's ever been to Star Wars Celebration, there's always an Artist Alley, and it's vastly different. Every single booth is very, very different. You could see one person who's doing very much comic book art, and they have prints available. You can see another person that's doing more cartoon-like art or stylized art. Some people are doing kind of a crafty art where they actually create crafts, things that you can do like crocheting or knitting. They create fabric. They take Star Wars fabric, and I'm using Star Wars, but it could be fill in the blank. It could be Doctor Who, it could be DC, Marvel, Harry Potter, anything. And they create all sorts of different things like, useful items like purses or pillows or any kind of thing like that, okay? And they, sell their wares at these conventions. A lot of them make a living of it. They go from place to place to place to place to place, to convention to convention to convention, all right? Now, with our COVID-19 kind of canceling all conventions until further notice, which could be another year or more if we're not sure how long this is going to last, a lot of these artists are finding themselves kind of looking to places like Etsy, or TeePublic, or TeeFury, or any of these like T-shirt or kind of sell your wear kind of websites to find customers to try to keep their businesses going. So I'm going to talk about one of those artists, okay? And it's a young artist, and I have a particular affinity for this artist. And any of you who know me, any of you who know this channel and know me personally, will know exactly who I'm talking about. But before I get to that, I just wanted to say that there are a lot of talented, mega talented artists out there. And if you're looking for any kind of specific thing that you want, something unique and something that's very original, something that only a handful of people have, as opposed to like a mass, produced collectible item, my advice is to seek out these artists. And if you can, right away you can start with Etsy. You can start looking at the Etsy website. You can get an app for that usually on your phone, and you can just start typing in the things that you like and see what people have created. Another thing that people have started doing a lot these days is utilizing 3D printing. I've actually shown some 3D printing replicas that people have created with their computer and a 3D printer, and that's a great unique item as well, and especially awesome to see people not to be able to create things that don't exist right now. And even the big companies are catching wind of this, and they're trying to get on board with it to see what they can do. But there is something to be said about it. So I hope that you guys will, especially in this time of day, this time with things the way they are, try to patron local artisans, when I mean local artisans, I don't necessarily mean local in your town. That's great if you do that. That's outstanding. But also to find artisans that are out there on Etsy and other places, and look at places like TeePublic, TeeFury, and you can find all lists of different places like that. So the one artist I'm going to talk about is one again that is I have a strong affinity for, because she just happens to be my daughter. Her name is Crina, Crina, and that's all I'm going to say about her in terms of her name. But if you'd like to see some of her art, you look no further than this channel, because every episode that has aired in the last almost 3 years has begun with one image that she had drawn me with a Darth Vader helmet, holding a tuba, and a Boba Fett action figure in the box or in the package. And that has been something that she did for me years and years ago, and I've always included it as part of our opening segment. Recently, she has taken it upon herself to start creating a lot of other art, some of which was art that I've asked for, that I actually commissioned her to do, and others are things that she's just done on her own for fun. And they have a lot to do with the Star Wars vintage Kenner packaging. I would call them kind of a stylized sketch of vintage Kenner packaging of the different Star Wars toys that were released, which I thought was like such a cool thing, something very unique. I haven't seen that anywhere, so it's something that I wanted to share with all of you. So an unboxing that I have for you today is basically some stuff that I purchased from TeePublic that I actually set up as a store for my channel, okay? And in hopes that we can get some people interested, if you're interested, to support both the channel and to support a young artist who's getting started in the world, to maybe there's some art that you could that you might be interested in, especially if anybody's watching this channel. I'm assuming you're into Star Wars, you're into unboxings, you're into perhaps some vintage packaging. That might be something. And it isn't just vintage. She's starting to delve into some more, 90s and even 2000s packaging, and I'll show you what I mean. First thing I want to call attention to, and by the way, beyond this, you'll see a lot of photo things coming up, just so you know that, I have a lot of things I'll show here, but I'm going to just probably put the images up on the screen. So first I want to point this one out, which is actually kind of an original, and that is a John Williams action figure photo. Okay, for those who don't know, and I think most of you watching this channel probably do, John Williams actually played a cameo in The Rise of Skywalker. It was about 1.5 seconds. It wasn't very long, but he was in Star Wars. So I always joked with my daughter. I said, he was in Star Wars. He deserves to have an action figure. So I don't know if Kenner, or rather Hasbro, is going to go about doing that. Maybe they will someday. But in the meantime, my daughter decided for Christmas to kind of give me a little Christmas gift, and she drew this up for me and sent it to me. And it's a John Williams action figure. At the time, I'm not sure we knew what his name was. So I know, so we took the word maestro. She took the word maestro and just put it backwards. So I guess it's Ortsiam, and I can't remember if that's what they ultimately did, or if they just rearranged the letters to mean something else. But essentially, it's maestro, which makes sense. But I thought this was awesome. I loved it. And I said to her, this kind of was the catalyst of, hey, how about if you do some other designs for me? So that is what she did. Now, you can watch this channel now, the last 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 episodes, you can watch the opening segment, and you will see, coming towards the screen, a lot of the things that she has done so far. So I'm going to just, talk through what they are. Now, essentially, I put everything on TeePublic, okay? And again, I don't know. To me, this is parody, okay? Well, this especially is. But the other stuff is because it's just a sketch, kind of a stylized version of it. But TeePublic, they may pull it off at any time. So my advice is that if you're looking at something that you think you would like to get, I wouldn't wait on it, because I don't know how long they're going to stay there. I mean, I think it's the rules about that kind of copyright stuff. I've seen stuff that's very, much the images of Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Disney, everything else, and it seems like every so often they just kind of come and take a bunch of stuff down. So, who knows how long it'll last. And that's why a lot of places only put things up for like one day. All right, so maybe we'll do that in the future. But for right now, I asked her to do a couple of things for me, and she did. So with what's really cool about TeePublic is that you can order a lot of different things at TeePublic. You put the artwork up there, and you can order shirts like this, and the shirts can be different. The shirts themselves can be different colors. I felt like with the action figure, black was the best choice, but you could also pick things like masks. That, yes, they're making masks. In fact, here's an example of some masks. Okay, now I'm going to show you some of these. Okay, so you can see what I got there, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be a little hard to understand what these are. So I'm going to throw these pictures up. Okay, we've got Luke Skywalker as X-Wing pilot, and that is the action figure thing. I'm going to put the mask on. There we go. And by the way, TeePublic, I hope you can hear me, TeePublic has some pretty good masks. They're double layered. I believe you can actually put a filter in if you want. Okay, they're pretty comfortable. All right, and they only come in one size. So if you have a really tiny head, you may have to like kind of get something to, knot the loops back. But they're elastic and they're in pretty good shape, and they're kind of really layered. And when you do that, it's just kind of a cool thing. Now, just so you know, they also do stickers, and I'm actually looking into ways that I can do this. So we have stickers like this, okay, X-Wing pilot, and she also did a Luke Skywalker. Okay, I'm gonna kind of sit a little bit over here so I can put my images there. There's the Luke Skywalker. All right, they're really cool, and in some cases she even included like price tags and things of that nature. So that's kind of fun. So that was so there was your masks. You have your Luke Skywalker mask. I did a lot of these. Okay, and there's your Luke Skywalker mask. We also had a C-3PO 12-inch in the case. Okay, there it is there. All right, and I even had some stickers made up like that. Okay, and these things are decals you can put on a computer. You can put any number of places. So I'm not exactly sure where I want to put these just yet, but so we have that. We also had I did some play sets. We got, or I should say, vehicles. We got the X-Wing. That's coming. We got the land speeder. Okay, and the cheapest thing you can get are labels or decals. And again, I'm looking into ways that I can get like a label cutter or something that I could do that myself. But right now, I've just gone with TeePublic. But we're looking into that for the future. But you can order a bunch of things and they'll just ship them to you. They can do some prints. Here's another John Williams print. So that's really cool. All right, and one of my favorites that she did for me was a Boba Fett 12-inch figure in the package, which I thought that was so cool. Now, from a distance, it looks almost like a photo, but when you get up close, you'll see that it's kind of a stylized cartoon, which is what I love about it. So it's really, really cool. It's a different style. It's unlike a lot of things that you see. So I strongly recommend that you take advantage of that. Also, keep your eye open with TeePublic, because sometimes they'll have like, sorry if I clicked. Sometimes they have like sales, like normally $22 t-shirts are now $13 or $12 or even $10. So take advantage of that if you would. That I actually got the mask as well. I figured taking advantage of the masks. And what's really cool about that is that we're in this weird pandemic, and folks, let's be honest, I don't think we're getting out of it anytime soon. And I will tell you guys, I'm a big supporter, not just for my daughter's sake, with her art, but because I think it's the right thing to do. Wear the mask. Okay, public service announcement. It's not about you. I'm going to say it. It's not about you, meaning it's not about you the one that's wearing the mask. You wear the mask to protect others in the unlikely but possible event that you have contracted this. Maybe you don't know you're sick yet. Maybe you'll never know if you were sick. Maybe it just happens. The masks protect others. And if they wear the mask, they protect you. So wear the mask, and if you see somebody who's not wearing the mask, stay the heck away from them. Okay? Keep your 6 foot or long or further, really, distance from them as best as you can. That's the only way you're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. Okay? So keep that in mind. But if you're going to do this, there's lots of wonderful masks, and these are good masks. They're not like really. I purchased a set of masks from an Etsy store. I won't say the name, but the mask came, and it was the first mask I got. So at the time, I was just happy to have a mask, because this was back in like April, and there were like no masks. So I got this mask, but it was one layer. It was very thin. It was almost one step above like the paper masks. Okay, so not that good. This one, it feels safer. So some other ones that we've gotten here, we got our she did a lightsaber, the inflatable lightsabers from like the 70s, which were horrible, but I love that she did the box. She did the one of the mini rig laser cannons from Empire Strikes Back. She did one of the die-cast Millennium Falcons from the 70s, and that's another John Williams action figure one that she did. She did it like it was an open box, so that was cool. We also have Scout Walker. We have the Boba Fett again. We have the Land Speeder again. We have the Wampa. Okay, and I think there's an example of pretty much everything that's there now. We keep adding stuff as she does more drawings. We have the X-Wing sticker. We have the B-Wing fighter vehicle. We have the Death Star space station. And that's another Luke figure. And then we have, she even did for me a bootleg of the Uze figures. This is the one with the Imperial gunner, and he's sitting there on the calculator, which I thought was hysterical. Now, in addition to stickers, for slightly more money, you can get magnets. Okay, now, right now, based on the size of the art that she normally does, all right, she works digitally on her computer, and the digital art is great, but the problem with digital art is that if you want to get something that's like a canvas size, you have to kind of keep, you're limited by the size of your screen. You have to keep shifting, and that's kind of a pain. So she does what she can with the size that she has. But they do also have these great magnets, okay, which will fit on they'll fit on anything from like the side of your refrigerator to the back of your car. So really cool stuff, and all of these are just more of the same of what she did. Now, in addition to those, okay, she also was good enough to give to me a set of logos, which I thought was outstanding. And I'll put some of them up here, okay? We have the original Kenner style logo, but it says Darth Tuba. We have I like this one, the Power of the Force, or in she called it the Power of the Unbox, which I liked. We have this one, which is the basically like the Episode 2 Legacy Collection kind of style. There's also the I think she liked the color scheme of Forces of Destiny, okay, which are the larger dolls one. So she did a Forces of Destiny one, which I thought was great. And if that isn't enough, she even created another logo for me. She created me instead of if you look on the original Star Wars logo, there's a picture of Luke holding the saber with Leia there. So she created that with me holding a Boba Fett boxed figure, which I thought was awesome. It was really funny though, because I laughed. I'm like, now the irony here is I always unbox everything, so it's kind of a funny thing, because yes, I do unbox, but that's not to say that I don't like the boxes. I love the vintage box art. I absolutely adore it, but I'm also loving the stuff that Kenner came out with in the 90s. I just think that the stuff that they've come out with, the package design, I'm fascinated by it. But the vintage one is always where I have the greatest love. But since most of those boxes, particularly for vehicles and playsets, everything was inside the box, I just take the stuff out of the box, but keep the box and display it, as you can see, on either side of me. In fact, some of the new stuff's there from, more recent stuff. So it is just a thrill to be able to talk to an artist that is also a family member, and one who, my daughter and I have a really wonderful relationship. She is she's her own like super fan of Star Wars. Her fandom goes to a lot of things. She likes Japanese animation. She likes Doctor Who, and so she's done a lot of different things. So you can reach out. If you look in the show notes, you can actually find information about where to contact her directly, her website and contact information. If you are interested in commissioning her for something specific, that you would like to have done, either Star Wars or related, or Doctor Who, or any kind of fan art, she, like any other artist, is always looking to get some commission work, particularly in this day and age when everybody is waiting for things to open up again. So by all means, please do that. But you can also support both the show and a young artist just getting started by going on to TeePublic. The easiest thing to do is to check out my storefront. All right, my storefront has all of these that are listed, and anything new comes in through there. Okay, I'm trying to play with if you want to find specific vintage items that I might, that I do, basically the way I tag everything is, vintage, like for example, the Wampa. Vintage, Wampa, Kenner, box, sketch art, like that. So you can, fill in the blank with vintage and sketch art at the end and put the other stuff in the middle, and it'll probably come up. You can also look for Darth Tuba, and some things will come up. Although sometimes the search only will force you into only one thing, and then you'll get the Darth Tuba stuff, but not necessarily the other stuff. So the best thing to do is go to in the show notes of every episode. From like the last 2 weeks or so, every episode moving forward, you will see the address, the link directly to. You can put it in your browser right to my storefront in TeePublic. I can tell you that we're also looking into some other ways to sell merch, like things like the Etsy stores, and we're looking into that for things like buttons, little buttons, a couple of different sizes, and a few other things through there. So we'll get that going. Once I get that going, I will do another episode, showing that, and a lot of cool things on the horizon. But at this point, I just wanted to get it out there. You've already started seeing hints of it. There's some really cool stuff that she's done. She's got a lot of ideas, on the horizon. Everything related to Star Wars vintage packaging, but a few other things in there. She also has some other great designs for, if you're someone who loves pets or loves dogs, she has a kind of a cool, kind of cartoon type dog designs that you can use for, again, t-shirts, masks, whatever you want, and a few other things. So some cool stuff out there. Take advantage of it. Go to the store. Do a search in TeePublic. That'll do it for this week's episode. Probably my most personally favorite, because it was stuff that was done specifically for me, commissioned by me, by a young and extremely talented artist. Okay, and I'm not just saying that. Check out her work. Okay, again, her address. You can look for her address. You can even Google her, and you will find all sorts of stuff about her and some great stuff that she's done. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Darth Tuba, Darth Tuba Star Wars Unboxing page on Facebook, and all the other jazz that goes out there. The way they hit the likes button, smash the subscribe and like buttons and all that stuff that people say. All right, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, may the Force be with you.